long time. And now I'm flying down to California to walk across the San Ysidro border by myself. And like, it wasn't that I was scared. It was the anxiety of just leaving the house, you know? So it was cool being able to do that and having that growth, a big part of like our success. I mean, I like to think we did it on our own with our hard work, and we did play a big role in that, but like fucking bringing your shit on Joe Rogan's kind of like, just so you know, this is going to get more views than the Super Bowl. So
yeah,
you know,
that's big marketing.
Yeah. And then Joe was cool enough to like leave our shit out there. So then like when they were doing like Save Our Parks, and they had, I think it was, Ari had asked him like, hey, what is this? And like, I have a good sound clip of him like, oh, that's Mammoth Tooth Tusk, and Burkett Custom makes those. And like, he remembered, and that was really cool, dude. Like to Joe
get back home. But 15 years old, you know, I look at my kids who are, you know, 15 years old right now. I'm like, I wouldn't let them walk to fucking Fargo by themselves from Moorhead. And here I was going to TJ at 15 and going into the nightclubs and partying and drinking and shit, you know?
There's no fucking way. Like my daughter wouldn't do that. Like, no, I mean, yeah, but our kids are smarter than us too, man.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
They know not to like places to tread and so on.
Well, they have it better than us too. Like at least for me, for sure. You know, like the reason why I love this place and why I stayed here is because I wanted my kids to be raised here so they wouldn't have to experience the kind of life I did back home. Welcome back to another episode of Ill Eagle Culture Brands Red Tape Talk. I'm your host, John Ostos, a.k.a. Ill Eagle CEO, and I'm here with my two counterparts, Dion, 2 Cup Larry, and Cody, Big Meat Mauk. What's up, fellas?
What's going on?
Not a whole lot. Today we got another guest. We brought back Dustin Hill from Undercover in North Dakota, probably our single biggest episode we've ever released. I think the last time I checked, it was up over 33,000 views, man. So
wild. Lots.
It's done killer. And then I think as a result of that, Dustin since went on a podcast tour, it looks like. So we're going to catch up with Dustin, find out what's been going on. Business has been booming for him, and he's been getting a lot of recognition in the podcast realms. And so some pretty big names that you've gotten to get to the table with, man. So yeah, have a little catch up and see where things have gone since then, man. So how you doing, brother?
Cool. Good. Really good. Busy.
Yeah.
Lots of, I've been very fortunate to get on a couple really cool podcasts with some people that I like really admire and look up to. So thanks for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been continuing to do those. Business is great. We're busy. We've got a little bit of a waiting list now on our 1911 pistols that we started building under the Burkett name. Grips are still going great. Knives are going great. Joe has actually taken over the grips and knives, so I'm doing all 1911 pistols now. I'm just my 100% of my attention is to that, with the exception of occasional. We have some regular customers that just like me doing it, or but to be honest, Joe at this point is better at pretty much everything than I am when it comes to that. He's really stepped up and really come a long way with his art and his craftsmanship. So I'm very fortunate to have a partner like that. That makes my life significantly easier. So I can go do things like podcasts and work on getting information out on PTSD, post-traumatic growth for law enforcement, military, and first responders. And it gives me a little bit more wiggle room in my life and where I need to be and what I need to be doing. So.
And I'm sure your personal brand tour that you're so to speak are on is what's helping the business kind of ignite more too, right?
Yeah, it's huge for us, you know, getting our guns brought on Joe Rogan. I don't know if they'd been on there yet, but our grips had been.
Yeah.
So our guns got to be on Joe Rogan. That was pretty wild. We, again, you know, as soon as that episode aired, we sold out of everything.
That's awesome. Really?
Yeah. Like the first time it happened, we sold out. Second time it happened, we sold out like within a matter of days. You know, the Joe Rogan effect is real. That is certainly true. And neat, down to earth guy that, you know, I mean, he didn't have to do that for my buddy John, and he, you know, went out of his way to showcase our work. And so I'm very blessed and fortunate to have those people in my corner.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's super awesome. So, and then we went down to Tijuana. Had I been down there yet either after before you. I think all of these are after you guys.
Yeah, you went there
just
after.
about to go.
Yes.
It wasn't long after.
So that was wild. If you want to get into that, that was a little bit of a shock for me.
Well, I want to say too that what was the guy's name that whose show that was on? Then?
Ed Calderon, the Ed's Manifesto.
Yeah. So he was on Sean Ryan shortly after you were on his podcast too.
Yep, and he was on Joe Rogan. He was just at the White House giving information to very, very, very educated man. Guy's a hero. And
can you explain his background a little bit, just for people?
No,
not like in particular, but from how people know him on Sean Ryan and stuff.
So Ed worked, basically hunted cartels for the Mexican government. He protected dignitaries and members of the Mexican government. He worked and became dual citizenship. So he had gotten his citizenship right when I came down there. And we discussed that a little bit, but a super great guy. He's retired now somewhat, but I think he still has contacts with the government in regards to, and that's what he brought up on Sean Ryan, I think, in regards to the border crisis and what's being done for cartels dragging people and drugs across the border. And, we got to get into my old life a little bit, kind of the dope scene and that, but mainly we focused on, my post-traumatic growth journey and his journey and kind of where it led us. And then the guy is an amazing knife maker too. Like he invented some different styles of knives for knife fighting. He goes around the country and does counter custody classes. Like you're worried about getting kidnapped, how to get away, how to get out of restraints, how to knife fight. I mean, the guy's got a huge toolbox of skills. So
that's crazy.
It was wild to get to meet him in person and, be in his home turf. And, I asked him and he had brought up, why on the show. I said, why am I in Tijuana right now? Like what brings me all the way down here when I can hop on a camera or whatever and do a podcast. And I would have gone regardless of his answer. But, he said, I like to see who has the guts to come down to like, be where I live and work and make sure you're legit. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. So, and it was quite.
You're like, oops, here I am.
Yeah, like I have no business being here, but I'm here and I made it. So,
I think it's crazy that he still fucking lives in TJ, considering the work he did in the past. Man,
he doesn't give one fuck.
Yeah, that's wild.
And I think that they're legitimately. Like he's a bad motherfucker, but he's not the type of guy that will say that. It's just like
he'll just show you if you need to see it. Yeah.
And I'm glad I didn't have to see that.
Yeah,
so. When I was working undercover, I was like, I always wanted to be like a CIA agent or a drug agent with a CIA agent in Tijuana eating tacos, talking about like cartels, and I got to do that. So that was like. I told him, I'm like, this is the second coolest thing that's ever happened to me. He's like, well, what's the first? I'm like, the birth of my daughter, but this is a close second. Like you're real close in the running for the coolest day of my life. And, getting to do that was super cool. And now every taco I eat is like white people taco night. It's just terrible.
Now
I feel guilty, and I feel so much rage that I've been eating terrible tacos.
You're
all
like
this
Mexican
time.
Village. What?
Yeah, well, exactly. Like, there's no Mexican people here. Like, this is not Mexican.
So the tacos are that much better?
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So here's the difference too. Like most of the Mexican food that we have here is Tex-Mex Mexican food. It's Southern
bland.
California, Southern Mexico, like border Mexican food is a whole nother level, bro. So like the tacos that you had down in TJ are like the legit fucking tacos.
I was sitting there and we were eating them and he's like, try this. And like, it's real different. Like they'll eat a fresh cucumber with their taco. And I'm like, just keep bringing them to me. And I was just shoving my face. He's like, do you want to know what? I don't even care. It's so good. I don't even care. Like, I'm just going to eat this and like enjoy this moment. And it was weird. It's weird being a fanboy around people that like you respect and like, because I don't have a lot of like people that I really like look up to.
Yeah.
And so that was super cool. I got to meet, him and I had been chatting for years just in knife community forums and that type of thing. And getting to really know him and then getting that nod to go down there and go on a show was a big step for our career and for me and my post-traumatic growth and just me as a person to not that long before that, and I talked about this when I went through the Warrior Pass stuff with you guys, like I wasn't leaving the house. Like I was there for a long time, and now I'm flying down to California to walk across the San Ysidro border by myself. And like, it wasn't that I was scared. It was the anxiety of just leaving the house, so it was cool being able to do that and having that growth and my family getting to see that, like, hey, I think there is some light at the end of the tunnel for this. And it was just great, the whole experience.
So you flew to California and then walked across the border and then got a taxi there?
So
how'd you do?
Yeah, I flew to California. I got to San Diego and it was like 3:00 in the morning. So there was like nobody wanted to give me a ride to this hotel that I got because it was like in a sketchy part of San Diego, but I wanted to
San Ysidro.
Yep. I wanted to be right next to that border so that I could just hop on the tram, take it, and Ed and I had talked about this a little bit, take the tram down to the border crossing and walk across.
Yep.
And then he gave me directions to where I want to go. And I go there and it's a little early. So I'm kind of bebopping around and I'm like, God, it's only like 20 blocks. I can probably walk there. And I start walking and the guy's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm just going to go to this place." And it's at a hair cutting place. We'll just say that. And so I showed him the address and he's like, no. And I started laughing. I'm like, it'll be fine. Like, it'll be fine. And now I kind of like, I got my like man dander up. Like I can handle anything that like, that's so out of my element. And so I show the guy where we're going to go. Finally, I go to a cab and the cab driver goes, no. I'm like, okay, this is two people now. Let's roll. Like this, now I want to go, So he brings me there and I'm like 35 minutes early. And there was nobody outside, and Ed had said, just be on time, don't be early, because we have to navigate some things to get there too. And I'm sure Ed doesn't like just let people know where he is. Right. That would be. So I'm sitting outside this place, and it's like barbed wire all around it and big brick walls, and I'm throwing rocks across the border wall. Like I'm just kind of enjoying the experience. Yeah. Look at me. I do not, like, I was out of place as shit in there. And Ed shows up and he's like, "How long have you been here?" I'm like, "Not that long." So it worked out really good. It was an adventure getting there, but I think he was a little bit surprised that like I had taken that route. And the guest that was on before me had been a Navy SEAL, and like he was talking about, some of these places that are like, and it's weird because there's a block and then it's fine. And then there's a block and it's not.
Yeah.
And there's a block and it's fine. And I'm like, how do you guys, like, I asked Ed, I'm like, how do you tell? And he's like, well, I know everybody, like he knows the people. And, but yeah, it's a different world down there, a different world for law enforcement.
Yep.
They do things like, you want to complain about American police, go to Tijuana for a week.
I've told them stories about, we used to go there when we were like 15, man, because I lived in San Diego, and
yeah,
it's bad.
Yeah, I don't want to motherfuck them but like, it's a different, how they handle things is completely different.
Yep.
So that was a little bit of a learning experience, but Ed was, like I said, Ed was a gracious host and took me for tacos, and I probably ate the gross national product of Tijuana for a year in tacos. Like I could barely move. Yeah, it was amazing.
The crime is like still pretty bad down there, though, right? I mean,
the crime is weird. They have like brothels with like kids in them.
Oh,
like and you have a bunch of people walking across the border for the sex trade.
Yep.
They
got the donkey shows. They got everything.
Yeah, I would much rather know that there was something weird going on with a donkey and an adult than like
hell yeah,
kids. Like it was just hearing about it, like, I don't know, man, I hate that shit from being a cop. So knowing that, and then I was standing in line to go back, and my passport was expired. So I didn't realize that until I was waiting to get back in, and the guard looks at me and he's like, "How did you get in here?" And I'm like, "Well, I just walked across the border." And he's like, this is expired. I'm like, look at me, dude. Like, I'm like, I'm a U.S. citizen. He's like, kind of rolls his eyes at me and he slides it to me and goes, get this fixed. Don't come back until it's fixed. I assure you, I'm not in any hurry to journey back here anytime soon. So in the hotel I got, like, with the Warrior Path program, every morning I get up and I'll go for a walk, or just so I can complete something for the day. And I walked like 2 blocks probably from my hotel, and the sun was coming up, and it was like, for that brief moment when that sun was coming up, that was the most beautiful, serene place that I'd ever been. And then once that sun came up and I saw all the garbage and all the bums and all that, like, I was like, man, you guys are pissing on God's most protected place in the world. Like, this is just beautiful. You know, you get that ocean air with like the sun and the breeze, and it was just a beautiful place. Like, I would love to live there. I can't, because everything that I do for a living would be illegal there.
Right.
So beautiful place though. And like in Tijuana, the most friendly people you'll ever, like, I don't know if they were being friendly to us because Ed was with, but I mean, they were like fucking good people, like really, really good, decent people. So it's got to be hard for, you know, Ed and I talked about like gun control there. You can't have guns. Well, the cartel does.
Yeah.
The police do. Everyone except you. And he's like talking about the Second Amendment and how great it is, because as you know, there's farmers there that don't have a rock to throw at their daughter's kidnappers, and they find her days later, and the only thing they have is screams afterwards. And Ed said it much more eloquently than that, but you know, that's fucked.
Yeah.
You know, and people are like, well, what is one good going to do against a bunch of guys with a gun? Well, if it's my daughter, I can at least get a couple of them, you know?
Yeah.
So you need to really be thankful for our Second Amendment rights. It's amazing.
Yeah, you got to imagine if they were able to have firearms, like, I wonder how big the cartel would actually be if the citizens themselves were able to defend themselves.
Yeah.
You know, in that dynamic, I don't know, because...
Well, now the cartel has grown to something that's, you know, militaristic, but
like,
it's been going on for decades.
Yeah. And people think like the cartels walk around with like a uniform, and like they don't. They're gray man. Like, you don't know. Yeah. Like, unless you're from there and you don't know.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's pretty wild to think like, let's just get rid of all the guns for everybody, but let's just make sure the bad guys keep them is crazy.
Well, including the federales.
Yeah.
They're crooked, man.
Oh, super. And you know, you find out, you know, there's some good people, good cops there that like really want to make a difference and care about their community. And Ed talked to me. He's like, "Did you ever take a bribe?" I'm like, "No." Like, I only had one guy like offer me a bribe, and that was when I worked dope, and he just took out his checkbook and was like, "Just write the amount." And I'm like, "Get the fuck out of my office." And Ed's like, "I've never taken a bribe because I didn't want anybody to own me." And I was like, that's a much better answer than I don't know. I was
didn't
kind
get
of
the opportunity.
I was kind of, a check can be traced. No. So, but yeah, it's a really good, it was a good experience for me and great for the business. So
it's awesome.
Yeah. It's such a trip to hear someone tell a story from that perspective, because as kids, we flocked to TJ the same way you did. We would drive into San Ysidro, and we would get on the tram, and we would just ride to the border, and we'd walk across the border, party all night. At 15, we can get in any club out there.
Oh, absolutely.
We hung out in Tequila Sunrise, which was like the gangbanger club. So we would go there, party all the time, get drunk. Half the time we'd get arrested. We'd always keep a extra 20 in one pocket, and then our cash stashed in our sock. They'd pull you, they'd arrest you. They'd just throw you in the car, drive around the corner, turn around, park the car, and say, "How much do you got?" Mm-hmm. And we would just be like, act dumb, like we didn't know they were going to do that, and be like, "Oh, I got 20. Yeah, I got 22. And they'd look at each other and be like, "Okay." We'd give it to them, and they tell us to get out. We just walk, get back home. But 15 years old, you know, I look at my kids who are, 15 years old right now. I'm like, I wouldn't let them walk to fucking Fargo by themselves from Moorhead. And here I was going to TJ at 15 and going into the nightclubs and partying and drinking and shit,
There's no fucking way. Like, my daughter wouldn't do that. Like, no, I mean, yeah, but our kids are smarter than us too, man.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
They know
sure.
not to, like, places to tread and so on.
Well, they have it better than us too. Like at least for me, for sure. You know, like my the
daughter
reason why I love
does.
this place and why I stayed here is because I wanted my kids to be raised here, so they wouldn't have to experience the kind of life I did back home. That was the biggest like selling point for me about this place. No gangs, no graffiti, no real serious crimes. None of that stuff was here. I mean, still for the most part isn't by comparison.
No, not by comparison.
Yeah,
no.
So, I love it, man. But yeah, TJ was a fun place. You don't realize as a kid too how dangerous it is because you're just there partying, you're having fun, and for the most part, people will ignore kids. And so we got away with it. We did it a lot, man. And we got fucked up there all the time.
Like I said, the taco stand people were like the nicest people I've ever met. Like it was like a grandma and grandpa that like ran the place, and then all the kids and everybody like worked. And
that's awesome.
Ed told me
they still running around selling chiclets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Ed said, he's like, the places that are good in the morning when they have a big, huge like meat thing that goes around. I don't know what it's called, but he said those are the ones that
or something like
when
that.
they have a big one like that in the morning, they know that customers are going to come. But if they have a big one in the afternoon, they didn't have any customers, so you don't want to go there. So I was cool learning that. So
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was wild. And then I drank the water.
Did you get sick?
Violently.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, the water ain't good.
Out of the tap?
So like,
what do they call it? Montezuma's Revenge?
I don't know what they call it, but I was praying to like a lot of gods. Like I got real religious in like a lot of different religions real fast because I got home and then that night I got some takeout food and I was like, ooh, that's not like sitting in my stomach real great. And then about 4:30 in the morning, I woke up and I was like, I felt like I had a fever and like I was sweating and shaking. And I spent the next 6 hours like in and out of the bathroom. And then I had to make my flight. So I had eaten like a whole bottle of Imodium because I'm like, I can't do this on a plane. Like I need to get, and then I had a layover. And so I had to stay longer because I got bumped. So then I'm sitting in an airport bathroom in Colorado. Like I was in there for a long time. Like it was a 4-hour layover and 3 hours of it was in the bathroom.
That's brutal.
Wow.
Yeah.
That would suck so
Where
bad.
did you drink the water at?
Couple places.
Really?
You didn't know that.
Well, I did, but so here's the thing. I don't drink alcohol and I'm trying not to drink pop. So I was like, yeah, just give me a water or whatever. But still like.
Wait, so you ordered a water and they gave you tap water?
No, I had like bottled water.
Okay.
But like when I was when we were at the place where we were filming the podcast, I was like super thirsty. So I like just drank out of the tap because I was like,
it was something.
Yeah, like I just needed something in my throat before, and I was super nervous, so I wasn't really thinking too.
And after all that traveling, I'm sure.
Yeah,
you too. But
yeah, man, I struggled for 3 days after that. Like I was like, this will never end.
That's crazy.
Yep, but I'd do it again tomorrow, dude. Like for those tacos, I would go through that for months and months. I don't care. Yeah,
that's wild.
That's like one thing I miss is just.
And there's no, you can't.
Back home, man.
Like you can't describe it to people that haven't had it.
Right. I know. I try to explain like how there's bomb food here. Don't get me wrong, especially tacos. You can find some good taco joints, but it's not the same, man.
No.
Yeah,
it sucks.
No, I've never eaten anything that was cooked like that. That was that good. So
Dustin, last time you were on here, you mentioned how you kind of got to be friends with John Reeves and up at the Boneyard. I've been following him for a little while now. Just listening to him on the podcast and stuff. Can you explain like what happened? Like he's one of the largest landowners in Alaska, right?
Correct. Yep.
Can you explain what happened with all of those bones and how like the American
Museum of Natural History stole them from him?
What happened with that? Like, did he give them to study and they just kind of took them? And then something about them dumping them into the East River or something?
Yeah, so there was a big bone rush in the East River. Long story short is when John bought that land, they went through and they did some reclamation of where the items were taken from over a period of like 50 years off that land. So when you in Alaska, John bought the mineral rights, well then that becomes John's property.
Okay.
And he worked to get those tusks and things back, and then they played games with John for a little while. And if you follow John Reeves and the Boneyard Alaska, John's not a man to like do that too.
Yeah.
he's not a man of a lot of words, but like I've said this before, his words carry weight. Like he'll talk when it's time. And if you're at the point where you're screwing around with him just because you think like, because I'm the American Museum of Natural History, I'm better, or, you're not going to get away with it. Mm-hmm. So John is trying to get all his bones that were taken out of that land.
Prior to him accessing the land. Okay.
Correct. Yep.
So do they know, but this is going back like years, right?
Correct. Yep. They have tons of paperwork and tons of receipts.
Because I think he posted one from like the 20s or something.
Yep.
Like
they keep everything. And there was a guy that was the American Museum of Natural History, is my understanding. And they sent a guy down there in the early 20s who was basically just a terrible human being.
Yeah.
And, John gets into that, and that's kind of John's story. But the American Museum of Natural History basically used this guy to rob graves. And it's unfortunate. And now, like, the proof is there. The American Museum of Natural History has been repatriating giving the remains of, like, dead Native children back to their families, is my understanding, like, or back to their people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think there was a couple articles about it too. Not just Alaska, but like all over the fucking world. Like it was, I mean, if I did that, I would be tried for war crimes.
Right.
So just because you're under the guides of a museum, it's you. Okay. So you have a nonprofit and you have all these bones and you can't find anywhere to put them. Like, are they giving them to their rich buddies to put in their houses and their mansions? Because mammoth tusk is illegal in New York. I can't sell mammoth tusk products there, really? But you can have it at the Museum of Natural History and give it to your buddies. So I have a real hard time with New York and New Jersey and California politics and the respect of, okay, if I'm a museum, I can have it and I can make money from it, but I can't make money from it from legally obtained mammoth tusk and grips that I as an artist use as my medium. I'm not out here just selling it to sell it. Yeah. I'm making it into something. I'm infusing my soul and Joe's soul into everything we do. When we work on something and it leaves our shop, both of us have touched that thing numerous times and hours of our lives staring at it. And we put our heart and soul into those. And to have somebody just say, by the stroke of a pen, it's illegal for you, but not for me, I have a real hard time with that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So
what's the deal with them dumping bones into the river?
So my understanding is that they just started dumping them in the river because they didn't have anywhere else to put them. Oh. I mean, you gotta think, like, where are you going to dump that stuff? Well, a lot of places still dump shit in the river, and it's 2025.
Yeah.
People think moving water is a place to make things go away. Well, what a terrible place to have to go look for mammoth tusk and like all of the unsolved crimes and bodies. And I mean, the East River's has got multiple.
Where's the East River?
Tide currents in New York.
Okay.
Multiple tide currents and multiple, dangerous diving conditions that, like, I've never dove in something like that. I mean, I've dove in like dangerous water, obviously, but not the East River. So, I think they'll continue looking for them. They have found some Pleistocene era bones, but I think the big thing that they're working on right now is getting the ones that were not dumped in the river back, or finding out where they went. Were they sold? Did somebody profit financially from this? Mark, I believe his name is Mark Knoll. He's the director of it right now, and he's an arrogant prick who is just disrespectful to everybody around him. And the problem is that, so in this community of archaeologists, the American Museum of Natural History is up here to everybody, right? Like they're the main people. Well, if these archaeologists in Alaska come forward and say, this is wrong, Mark, why are you not giving this stuff back to John? Well, then they're going to lose access to all these galas and benefits and money and grants. And so, I mean, the guy holds the purse keys, but I wouldn't count John out. I mean, if I was ever going to bet on a horse, it would be named John Reeves every time. So, just a great man, a family man. Like, he doesn't deserve people to be messing with him like that. So.
Yeah. And he's found like saber-toothed tiger bones up in his.
They've found
where they're not supposed to be, I guess.
Oh yeah, and there's so much new Pleistocene era things that are coming out of there that, basically everything we've been told in history is bullshit.
And that's why I believe that a lot of it's political too, because these guys, they don't want to be wrong.
Okay.
They really hate being wrong.
So he owns property that is at the basin of one of these rivers where the bones are going to, or what?
He owns the property in Alaska where all these bones came from, and it's been going on for decades. Like these guys would go there and take the bones and bring them back to
before he owned it.
Correct.
Yep.
But
he bought the rights to that land and those minerals there,
and that land, and then
they belonged to him.
He bought the company that owned all that, so they had all their records, everything going
from way back then
to the 1920s. Like, he'll post like a paper written by one of the guys that had taken.
I saw the letter.
Yeah, so I mean, they're very articulate. They're very. John is an extremely smart man, and then he has his son-in-law Drew working with him out there, and Drew is a super smart man too. So, they're finding things that history will never see.
Yeah.
The opportunity I had when I was out there, and I'm going up again in probably a month or so. Excuse me. Being out there, it's very daunting. In a lot of Instagram pictures, it just looks like a mud hill, and it's like 25 feet up in the air. I mean, you're looking up at like a couple stories.
That'd be so cool.
And they're just water fracking out with like a hydro giant and an Ottoman, and it just goes back and forth until washing it until they melt the permafrost, and out it comes. And ultimately they're gold miners first.
Yeah.
So you're looking at a place where gold's coming out of, and tusk, and I mean, if you want a place to go, like, find out if you have autism or not, go there, because it's like the greatest thing in the world. Like it's like probably how like you would be the first time you saw a set of weights, but it would be it was like, this is the greatest thing in the world.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And when I was up there, I was in such a, like, I just quit the police department, so my mental health was fucking terrible, and like John still like saw through that and invited me up there to like let me just be part of it just for a day, a few hours, and ended up becoming hopefully a lifelong friendship. I mean, we've been friends many years now. So, and he's a big part of like our success. I mean, I like to think we did it on our own with our hard work, and we did play a big role in that, but like fucking bringing your shit on Joe Rogan's kind of like, just so you know, this is going to get more views in the Super Bowl. So,
yeah,
that's
big marketing.
Yeah, and then Joe was cool enough to like leave our shit out there. So then, like, when they were doing like Save Our Parks, and they had I think it was Ari had asked him like, hey, what is this? And like, I have a good sound clip of him like, oh, that's Mammoth Tooth Tusk, and Burkett Custom makes those, and like he remembered, and that was really cool, dude. Like, Joe is a real genuine guy, so that was neat to see.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I noticed like with all the stuff that he's posted. And what I found is that just listening to they had that Flint Dibble guy, the little nerd, come on Joe Rogan, and he was debating with Graham Hancock. Mm-hmm. Dude, they're just little dorks, man. They don't want to be wrong, and they'll just like claim like racism and all this stuff, and they'll just throw out these random terms because they hate to be wrong. They don't want to be wrong.
So my thing is, it's science. Everybody's like, follow the science.
Yeah.
All right, well, this is some pretty good proof. What you think you'd be, you'd want to come out there and put your best foot forward, but every single academic place has just been shit.
Yeah.
Like, and they can't get, people who one, they trust, I mean, and two, people that won't come out there and just be disrespectful to the place. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he doesn't have to let people out there. That's, he'll eventually build a museum with every single bone from every creature he's found out there. And I really hope that, like, it's in his lifetime, because he loves this stuff so much, and it, like, he eats, sleeps, and breathes it. and he knows it by heart. And so I hope that they start doing that in his lifetime. So
that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I can't wait to. Yeah, man, I can't wait to take my kids up there someday and see that museum. And they have his daughter Elora is a very talented jewelry artist, but her and her sister own this place called Gold Daughters, and they have a great Instagram. But if you like go up to Alaska, you can pan pay dirt for gold, and like you get the real experience of it. And they take dirt and pay dirt right off their land and then bring it right out there and put it in a pile, and then you go out there and pay to sift through it, and you can find gold and learn panning. And so they've really done a nice job showcasing the area and building business around it and bringing people to Fairbanks for something other than like work, oil rigs and military or digging for gold or whatever. So they say Alaska's the last frontier. It's true. Like that place is not. It's not like what you would think. I was awake for almost the whole time I was there because the sun was out the whole time. Like it didn't go down. So I just got manic. And like I said, my mental health was terrible anyway. So I'm like, I haven't slept in 4 days and this is the greatest thing in the world. So yeah, it was pretty awesome.
That's awesome. Wild.
Yeah.
Shoot.
What's that other podcast you were on? You were mentioning.
So I've got one that I just did with Vincent Rocco Vargas, Vinny Rock, and that was wild. Like him and I have followed each other for quite a while on Instagram and talked, and he's mentioned my stuff on his show before, and so Vinny and Ed had done a podcast, and they both had worked border security. I think Vinny had done BORTAC and like border patrol SWAT basically, and but a much higher skill set. His military service with special forces, so it was like really cool, interesting guy to talk to. And he leads a men's group for mental health, and just a really good human being. He's been in some movies. He did what's that? The show, The Mayans. It was a spinoff of
Sons of Anarchy.
Yep, and he plays Gilly in that, and just like a really good person, like a really good dude, family man.
Sure. So
it's cool. I can't wait for that to drop. So
was that via Teams or?
Yeah, so we did we did Riverside with that one. It's a podcast recording app. It's
sure.
Like, Team Viewer or whatever, but a little bit more. You can do some editing and so on. And so rather than just sit in front of like my dirty factory shop, like I had to like go dust off all my shit from when I was a cop and like hang it up on the wall. And then Petri walks in. He's like, one of our guys that works with us, he's like, geez, what's all that? And I'm like, well, I needed to put something decent in my background. And it was either this or like the Farrah Fawcett poster from like 1987 that I had in my room when I was a kid. So nice. I went with this. But the guys at the shop were giving me shit about it a little bit. They're like, you got all your cop shit in here. Like, no, everybody, do we have to call you a hero? And like, just give me a hard time. Like, shut up. I'll take it down when this is done. So, but it's still up there. So I'm going to just
you're a natural born podcaster now.
I guess like something like that.
Yeah.
But no, I enjoy it. Like it was weird. Like when Cody had asked me the first time, and I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And I thought, like this will be my second podcast. This is really nerve wracking. So, but fuck, dude, 33,000 views or whatever, and 16,000 subscribers. It was
pretty good,
pretty awesome. Yeah,
yeah, worked out well.
Yeah.
I was wondering, so like, what's your demographic looking like for where you're selling most of your stuff? Would you say you get a lot of like local business, or would you say a lot of it is coming from out of state now?
So, like our 1911 pistols start at $6,800. Mm-hmm. So I don't have a lot of walk-in traffic for that. And then our gun grips are around $800 a piece. And our knives start, $600-$700 if you look them up on the website. But so we don't have a ton of walk-in traffic in that respect, but we do laser engraving as well. And so we try to find time during the week so that we can, help our local people, like for laser engraving or whatever they need in regards to that. But for the most part, it's all online. And so that affords me the ability to be a little bit of a social media, social justice warrior about subjects when it comes to light in town, because a lot of businessmen worry about like, oh, did I say the wrong thing? Am I going to piss people off? Where I'm like, it's like the end of Eminem.
No filter.
Like, fuck you, fuck your mom. Like, you suck. I'm out. Like, so it's really afforded me the ability to say what I want to say. And, if people want to listen to me, they will. If they don't, I don't care. I'm still going to say this shit. So it's worked out really good. I've had kind of this ongoing feud with our local paper back home. And so it gives me the ability to fuck with them a little bit. And
that's awesome.
There's been some heated debate recently in the town of Wapton. You want to talk about that?
So great news, Wapton. We passed we had a special election for building a rec center for our community. Our elderly population is growing. Our elderly center is, they're doing their best with what they have, and it's a place where locals can go and meet, but it's not meeting the needs of our community. This will have walking tracks for the elderly. We'll have tournaments there. We'll have, all kinds of possibilities for working out and health and wellness. And there were some people that were just dead set against it, just terribly dead set against it. And our local paper, they see that like there's drama. So instead of posting a positive thing, like here are the people that are writing in that want this, which was a huge turnout. I think it was like 1,035 people. Wapton's not a huge town. It's 8,000 people. But for a special election to have 1,000 and like 1,300 people, or I think it was 1,300 something, come out for that, that's huge. So it was a big thing for our community. And there was two people in town that really were very vocal and very pushy. And like even one guy we almost had to throw out of our open meet and greet, where you can come in and talk about it and say whether you want it or not. And this was all volunteers. Like, we had two ladies that really worked hard on this, that really put the best foot forward for Wapton and gave us that ability. But there was just one gentleman that came in, and when he would talk to the men, he would be like, you and I are talking. And then when he got to her, he started pointing his finger and raising his voice and slamming his hand down, and then started swearing. And so I'm trying a new thing after the Warrior Path program of not being a lunatic and going instantly to violence. So I said, sir, like I called him sir because like we have a history, like he's been arrested by my department before and is a local piece of shit. But he's a mouthpiece. And so he started raising his voice to her, and I'm just like, hey dude, like there's little kids right here. Don't spread your generational trauma to him because these guys were raised right. It was Sergeant Corey's kids. And he just looked at me like he had no idea what I was saying. Like, I think it was the first time anybody like just took a calm approach with him. And he was so mad. He's just like, fuck you. And then just walked away and laughed. And I'm like, the desired effect, without choosing violence, and ended up in the paper and looking stupid, And so those ladies navigated that like social media nightmare for quite a while. And then it's me. So then I'm for it. Obviously I want Wapton to grow. I'm tired of Wapton being the town that's 10 miles off the interstate. And we have great people in Wapton that are lifelong residents. When I moved to that town, I remember thinking, like, I said this to my deputy friend that I was working with, and we were doing a transport. I'm like, why would anybody want to live in this town? And he's like, it's a great town. There's really good people here. The sheriff is a nice guy. And I went and talked to the sheriff, and I was working undercover dope there like 3 months later. So, and I've been there for, I'm going on 20 some year, 22, 23 years, 25 years. I'll be buried there. I mean, it's my home. So I want it to grow. So, these guys that don't want anything, to change, there's a local guy, Bruce Eckery, who, was bitching about taxes getting raised. And so I just looked up his taxes, and he pays $17.92 a year for his taxes for his property. Okay. This wasn't even a property tax debate. It was, a 1 cent sales tax. So on every $100 you spend, it's going to be $1, and it's capped at like $75. I think is what the vote was. So you're spending less than $1 or 75 cents if you spend $100 to better like our senior citizens and our kids in our community. Like that's not a big ask. Like, and people, you acted like, man, you asked them if you could go over and bang their old lady. Some of them, like they were just angry.
Yeah.
And I get some people were worried about, I wanted a hockey rink in it. Well, we don't have a hockey rink yet, but we will by the time I'm done with it, because I'm going to find donations. Before I die, there will be a hockey rink there. It may take me 20 years.
Yeah.
I might even have to pay for it someday if I can.
Yeah.
That it's a goal of mine. Because we have one sheet of good ice in Wapton.
Yeah.
And people complained about that. Well, yeah, we want to do that, but you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And not that many people in that community play hockey.
Right.
But we got a ton of elderly. We got a ton of kids. We got a ton of sports. We have a ton of artists in our community that can use the space. Gathering, our community center is overloaded. I think they want to put my guess is they want to put the police department over there is kind of the scuttlebutt I've heard. So hopefully, the department can continue to grow and have some physical fitness stuff there. And instead of, being in an old funeral home, I'm not sure how that even came about, but that's not ideal. They're already at each other's elbows in that little building. So
yeah. Why did they move out of the elder building? It was just too old?
No, there was just no room. And it's really hard when you have multiple agencies in one building with, how do I say this politically? I'm just not going to say it. Like, it's hard to get along with the sheriff's department.
Okay.
And I think they'd had enough, to be honest with you, and they needed their own space. I wouldn't want to work in the building with those guys. So there's some good officers on that sheriff's department that are really good people, but it's a rudderless ship. I mean, it's led by a guy that shouldn't be in there. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
It's super odd that, like, for a place where like all they're known for is sports and farming, like you'd think you'd want some sports, some
So,
develop some athletes.
Glad you brought that up. And I looked this up just recently. When I graduated, from 2007 to 2024, Wapton has only gained 300 residents.
Yeah,
in almost 20 years.
That's pretty big.
Like that's just, it's not, you can't sustain that, right?
Yeah.
The businesses that have been coming in, they die right away. Main Street, empty buildings everywhere, right?
We just lost our gun business.
Yeah, right.
Trigger Sports just bailed out. But I think that was the overhead that he had for that building. So I'm a businessman. I've learned to navigate the business world better, but it's still kind of a filthy mistress to me. And then that's why I have Joe, because like I have a lot of questions about things. Like when we first started, Joe's like, yeah, well, let me see your P&L sheets. And I'm like, what the fuck is a P&L sheet? Like a profit and loss sheet and things like that. So like I have him to help me navigate that world a little bit, and he's very good at it. But when you look at your overhead, your projected overhead for what you need to make every week or every month, it was ridiculous. Like I think, I don't know that he was ready for that kind of commitment of having a building and a business, because you're married to that. That's like being a dairy farmer. Every, cradle to the grave, you're going to be there every day. Like if you want to make money. Yep. I mean, there's tons of days where I go to the shop and like, if I don't feel like working, I still need to be there in case we have a walk-in. We don't have the type of need for like a full-time administrative assistant or secretary or front house person, but like we're getting there, and I'm fighting it right now, but like that will help me with, being able to take a day off to go fishing or, going to do some other stuff. And since I was on, I retired from the dive rescue recovery team. So I'm trying to like free up a little bit more of my time in my life to go do things like that, and not just work all the time, because now the business is starting to be self-sustaining somewhat. So,
but yeah. So one thing that I noticed a couple of years ago when I got moved down to Wapton for recruiting, I went and there was football practice. So I went on the field, And I was like, this can't be the varsities. It's got to be freshmen. And I was like, the amount of numbers that they had and the size those kids were. There's nothing against these kids. Did great.
Yeah, they're warriors.
They did phenomenal. Yeah. Like they did really good. Really competed against teams that they shouldn't have beat, but they did. But I was just shocked at the size of the team, both number wise and their size.
Yeah, the teams all run on heart there.
Yeah,
like it's sheer fucking heart
for sure.
Like it's Husky pride, man. They do not have size. They do not have numbers.
This goes back to and then you got Woods that came into the AD and he changed their logo, and there was people that were freaking out about that too, changing the Husky logo. And I was just like thinking to myself, if you don't adapt and grow, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Right. This community center, the logo, it all matters. It all matters. You're gonna bring in more people. You're gonna have more kids out in sports. You're gonna become better. That's just what happens.
So think about like when my daughter was in Just for Kicks and she would go to these things in Fargo, and all the people that brought in, it brought hundreds of people in.
Yeah.
Okay, well they're spending money. Kids need to eat. They need gas. They need food. Like it brings a ton of money in.
Yep.
And they're so short-sighted of, the biggest complaint I heard was, what about our roads on the south side? Here's about the roads on the south side. It's a special tax and a special vote. Do you think anybody in Wahpeton would have voted yes for a 1% sales tax to fix just the roads on the south side? They're absolutely not, because they're specials that go onto your house. Okay? A lot of the people and a lot of those houses on the south side are elderly. They cannot afford a bump in taxes because they're on a fixed income. And even if they're under that homestead, they still, like, those specials will get added on, and that's going to put people out of their homes. We have a mayor, Brett Lambert, who cares about the people of Wahpeton. We have a city administrator, Darcy Huey, who cares about the city of Wahpeton. We have street work, like the street department. I don't want to say street workers.
I was going to say, whoa.
I caught myself. I was like, we
got street
Cody's workers
that
really like to, and they're not going to charge the 1 cent sales tax, the street workers. But like, everybody cares about that very much. And the people that are complaining about it I don't think they understand like how that works. And then you try to explain it and they just get mad and storm off. Well, I'm not making it up. Like I'm not intelligent enough to come up with like a bullshit story about taxes. I'm just not. You guys have known me long enough to know that like 2 + 2 is 4, but Dustin had to use a calculator, So, it was really a tough go there for a while. But like I said, the group that put that forward are just heroes to our community. I mean, they brought that in. They did all that work. So
a lot of work.
Yeah. Like I take no credit for any of that other than just being a jerk on the internet.
The people that are upset about it eventually are going to see that it's going to be a huge benefit.
And a couple of the people that were upset about it have younger grandkids. Like, you got to think like, okay, these kids are going to be in sports. These kids are going to be like, are you against it because you don't want to pay 75 cents on your $100 purchase, which they're like, well, I'm just going to go to Fargo. Okay, well, Fargo sales tax is even higher. Sure. Plus, you got to pay for gas. Yeah, your argument is stupid. It's not rooted in science or fact.
All right.
Okay, so you just don't want it because you just don't want it. Is just be honest.
Also, what does it matter to them at that point? If you're really like, I don't want to pay that 1 cent for everybody else to be happy, then I guess you probably got a deeper problem.
Yeah, we had a bar owner that's like, well, that's going to be a tax that it's going to have to be passed on to my customers. Absolutely. If you're in there and you're spending $100 a day on your bar tab, have one less beer to cover that 75 cents.
Yep.
One less beer. After $100 bar tab, you're already drunk.
I mean, there was at one point there was like 8 bars down Main Street from Wahpeton to Breckenridge, something like that, 8 or 9 bars.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's
just on that little strip alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. It was, you have the Firehouse Pub, which is owned by a great dude who's very pro like community, pro law enforcement, Kirk Peterson, pro fireman, pro first responder. And that building has expanded, and now they're starting to do like, this like a FAT system, like type shooting, like you can go in with a gun and shoot a laser it comes out of a regular gun at different targets, and it's interactive. They had it in town here. And
it didn't do well here, I don't think.
No,
location.
The location.
We went to it. It was really corny and cheap, though.
Yeah, a lot of overhead, but they've really they've really enhanced that and made it much cooler. And so they have that, and then there's basically 2 other bars on the strip, and that's it.
Yeah, I just don't. It doesn't make sense, like, for overall, like, wanting people to be there. Like, when I think about going somewhere, like I travel for work or whatever, I'm like, where's the gym? That's that's the first thing I think of. I get to my hotel, I'm like, where's the gym outside of this hotel gym that is here? Like, I'm trying to work out. So if at the very least the people that are working there have something to do, or people that are visiting have something to do. You also have a junior college where they play on your high school football field, which is insane to me. I would not go there because of that very reason. They play on a grass regular football field that's terrible. I've seen it. I've been there just this last year. I was like, wow. So the fact that is what that facility looks like, they need to invest in that health and wealth, which is going to just bring better people.
Well, they're going to be better kids. Like, they're going to be more prepared for moving on to that next phase, whether it's college or pro or whatever. Like, these kids, they have an opportunity. Like, you can make money in college sports now. So why are we not setting these kids up to, like,
go to
be
NDSU,
a success,
freaking be
and
the
kick
next
ass?
guy.
Yeah,
that's
like, let's set them up for success.
And they have one of the best junior college sports wise in anywhere near North Dakota. Like, there's nowhere else you can go in North Dakota to play sports and be good and get a scholarship at a junior college where a lot of people don't deserve a scholarship in reality, but they are good at athletics. So it's like, it's tough to think. But also for those kids, like, Moorhead is so successful and has all this nice stuff because their school makes a lot of money through sports.
Correct.
That's the entire reason Moorhead wants to stay as one school. They don't want to split up because they make a lot of money from just the sports teams. So if Wahpeton can adopt something like that, where people are wanting to go to these sports, all the kids want to do sports because they are good at them, that's huge. That'll make a big difference in the community for sure.
Yeah, and we've got some really talented kids right now. Bjorn, little Anderson, these guys are like, they're really, really good at sports, and to give, it would have been nice to have them have that opportunity before they were out, to really see what they're capable of with all that equipment and all that, just space. I mean, sheer space. So yeah, it's a great opportunity for Wahpeton to grow and to bring more people and to have things that you can do. It's 5:00 in the middle of winter. What the hell you can do with your kids there?
Exactly. Yeah.
There's not, like, you can't take them to the zoo. You can't
go to the park.
You can't go to the park. Okay, well, that's it. Like, so
it's tough.
Yeah.
I did not realize how damn small Wahpeton was. And their growth is even more shocking.
That's the growth is crazy. I didn't know that.
300 people, man. 300 people.
That's not good.
No, but now we have some new housing developments. We're showing some growth. We do have a few new businesses in town, myself included. I'm right on the edge of the economic development area or whatever it is. So I'm just right on the edge of town, but I'm in the county. But, like, if I deliver, say you come out to my shop and, like, have me do some laser engraving on a gun or on a product, and I drop it off at your house. But if it's in Wahpeton, then I have to charge Wahpeton sales tax. I have no problem doing that. They've helped me grow. I've gotten some grants and so on. So it's a great community, and it's kind of the gem of North Dakota. People don't realize, like, it's so close to good fishing, and it's so close to rivers, and it's so close to lakes country, and you're far enough out of Fargo where you don't have to deal with Fargo, but you're close enough to Fargo where if you want to, you can go deal with Fargo.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of opportunities. You're halfway between Fergus and Fargo, basically. And Fergus is a community that's on the grow. Right next to Wahpeton is Breckenridge, which they're working on a community center as well. So, there's people that want to pump new blood into this community, and they want to change. And the old guard is saying, no, we don't want that. And the people spoke. They're like, we're done with you. We're done with listening to the Bruce Eckeries, of Wahpeton, and the people that complain just to complain and pick on civil servants. Like, I don't know if you know this, but city employees don't make shit. Okay. They're doing their best there, but they're like teachers. They don't make a ton of money, and to have to deal with like schmoes from the public, like disrespecting them because they don't want something, like, go be a bully somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yep. We've had enough. We're done.
Yeah.
Like, the people spoke.
And you want good people to stay, and the only way they're going to stay is if they enjoy their time while they're there. So young people especially, like, you're not going to get a high schooler to be like, I want to stay in Wahpeton, which maybe you want it, maybe
if they're if they're farm kids, they want to keep their families and keep the family land and so on, but like, they still need something their kids can go to.
Exactly.
For sure.
For
sure.
The college is full. There's a couple places you can go work out. Each place that you have to work out in that community right now is based around either weightlifting or physical fitness or like cardio and shit. But it's not a whole rec center. It's not a pool. It's not a, you go to the college, it's constantly under use. I mean, when we wanted to do dive rescue training, we had to go to the pool at like 8:00 at night. Well, shit, dude, like, you're 2 or 3 hours of really intense training. By the end of the day, you're beat,
Yep.
And so it'll be great to have that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
We're very blessed. Like, God was looking down on us for that vote. Like, we're in a very good place right now.
That's cool.
Yep.
So Dustin, I want to get your opinion.
Absolutely not.
I don't know if you saw the podcast with that young girl that died.
Yep, I did.
But so it's my understanding that when they gave the guy the breathalyzer, they gave him a roadside sobriety test, and then they brought him back to the police department. Can you kind of cover like exactly what you believe happened there and why the judge tossed that out?
So, yeah, I will. In law enforcement, we have in certain things, DUIs are probably the worst for that procedure. You have your initial observation. Okay, I stopped you for this, but like say I stopped you for like taillights out or something stupid. I walk up there and you're sloshed. Like, hello, sir. My name is Dustin Hill. I'm with the Wahpeton Police Department. The reason I stopped you is you're going 30 and a 20, but my main reason I stopped you is like your taillights are out. We don't want you to get hit, and you're in there like drunk.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I have the initial observation stage. I can see bloodshot, watery eyes. I can smell a strong odor of an alcoholic beverage coming from your breath. Not alcohol, because alcohol, ETOH, has no smell. These are all things that you need to learn over time in law enforcement. Each one of these steps, if they're missed, your DUI is going to get tossed. It's not like you fucking did it. Yeah. You did it, bro. Like, you're falling down drunk on the camera. You're slurring your words. You can't walk. But if I don't do every single thing correctly, that will get tossed. And there's two ways that it can get tossed, or there's multiple ways it can get tossed, but two real good ways. So we have the report and notice in North Dakota. So you need to explain, you basically have to take the test. Refusal to commit or to take the test is a crime. So you have that preliminary breath test, which is not admissible in court other than a pass-fail. So I give you a breathalyzer out in the field, and I look at it, and you're a 0.12, which is way over the legal limit. Okay, it's you're not like falling down drunk unless you're not a regular drinker, but like you have that. So I look at it, oh, it's a fail. Okay, so now we have that. So I can only do that after I've done my preliminary field sobriety. If I do that backwards, they're going to get tossed. So, and you can only do certain field sobriety tests. It's not like you can go, I want you to count backwards from Q to W, do wild things like that. There's, the walk and turn, one leg stand, HGN test, horizontal gaze nystagmus test. It's an involuntary jerking of your eyes when you're following a stimulus. It should look like a marble rolling across glass, but your eyes will bounce when you get to certain stage. Anyway, without getting into too much technical crap with that. So there's a lot of things up to that point that can get that case tossed. Okay, then I do the preliminary breath test and I place them under arrest. I have to articulate when I go in my probable cause sheet and now I have to begin an observation period. You have to watch them for a certain amount of time, make sure they don't put shit in their mouth, make sure they don't drink or eat anything. Then we get in there and we have to do the intoxilizer, which you have to go through tons of certifications to get that and keep it and stay up to date on.
That's inside the department.
That's inside the jail. Correct. Yep. When you bring them in there. Now, something could go wrong with the intoxilizer. Something could go wrong with the videotape. Something could go wrong with the audio tape. If they fuck around with the test and mouth it, or they give invalid samples, if there's radio frequency interference, if some moron comes in and keys their radio, it's going to show on that machine. So and if the machine wasn't calibrated correctly in the correct timely manner. So a DUI is hard to prosecute. It's probably one of the hardest cases to, like, when I would go testify in like dope cases, I didn't like they were easy because it was like, yeah, he sold me drugs. We sent him to the lab and the lab did their lab shit. That's it. The guy can. DUIs are, and I'll tell you my theory on that, but DUIs get tossed all the time. DUIs are very hard to prosecute.
Which is crazy. You would think like a DUI that ended up in killing a child.
Correct.
That all those rules per se wouldn't apply. Like, no, you were drunk. That's factual, regardless of the protocol, and you killed an innocent child.
Correct.
You're guilty.
The problem is, well, it's not a problem, and I don't see it as a problem. The issue is we all have rights, and they have somehow, in a lot of states, North Dakota's one of the worst, woven this tangled mess of navigating a spider web to get a DUI prosecution. Right. I
think we know why, though.
I would never. Yeah, because legislators are drunks.
Yep. Protect the good old boys.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. There's no other reason for that.
Yep.
And there's a lot of federal case law, and people are like, in this case, they're like, well, Mark is my friend. Mark is a very good attorney. His job is to get people off.
Is that who this Tim
I believe Mark
attorney
is? The attorney for that guy, isn't he? He was the attorney for the guy with my buddy's daughter.
Got you.
In Wahpeton, and people are like, "Well, aren't you mad at Mark's my buddy? Mark is my attorney. Like, I'd want him to do his best at his job. I don't think it's a moral conundrum, and you and I have talked about this before, where like you're a defense attorney, everybody you represent is got like fucked up. Like you fucked up to get there, right? You made a mistake. So they're going to do their best to get you out of it, and they're going to use the law the way it is written and the way the case law is written and the way judges have to follow that to prosecute the case. It's a terrible travesty, and it's disgusting, and it's awful when justice is not achieved for losing a child.
Right.
My friends and my life and the community of Wahpeton was forever changed when we lost Bailey. The community in Grand Forks was forever changed when they lost that young lady, and it's disgusting and it's sick, and their lives will forever be ruined and cut short. But it's the way the law is.
Yeah.
A lot of times, what's right and what the law is are two totally different things. And for a while, society was going to the point where, and we're still there trying to dig out. It's not my fault. I was a victim. Okay. It's not my fault. I'm here illegally because I want a better life. Okay. There's guys that came here the correct way. You know, Ed is a prime example. It took Ed 5 years. They had to interview his daughter to make sure he wasn't like lying about it. Like they went through, Ed it was a freaking asset of the government and helped the United States people fight crime and fight drugs. And he still had to go through the bullshit for 5 years.
Damn.
And he never got a dime. They never gave him a dime, and now people are coming in, like we're coming in, just unfettered, just constantly coming in. Give us your tired, your weak, your huddle masses yearning to be free, or just keep sending us your fighting age males, like your military age males. Like just keep bringing them in, and millions of people got in the country that way, and terrorists and terrible people because of the way the law was written at the time under that administration. or the way that law was interpreted under that administration. Okay. Interpretation of law takes the people's rights out of it, as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
I no longer have a say in my community. Whatever happened to the good old days where, like, you just went out and you had a jury trial, and it wasn't 12 of the people too dumb to get out of jury trial. It was, you had a civic duty to execute justice on your community, and people loved it, and they went out of their way to do it. I posted a picture of me, like, I got jury duty, and there's no way in hell they're going to let me sit on a jury because I was a cop for 20 years.
Yeah.
But I was proud. Like, I'm like, I will show up and I will give that my undivided attention to try to figure out what is wrong. But defense attorneys are given so much leeway in what they can do. I had an attorney in Wahpeton one time ask me if I was drunk on the traffic stop when I stopped her. And I thought to myself, like, I got a little butthurt because I've been sober for like 24 years from booze. And somewhere in there between, I have to look at the exact time frame because I kind of quit counting. But like, you have the ability to like make a difference. And these defense attorneys like accuse me of being drunk and of planning evidence. And it's like, we're all going to waste fucking 5 days of our life listening to you pontificate on why your client isn't a shitbag child molester or a murderer or killed a little innocent kid. Like, man, we got to get back to the point where we're like, you did this. There's proof, and then make them like serve time.
Yep.
I mean,
real time.
Yep.
Real time. The guy that killed Bailey will be out probably next year.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So crazy.
Like, okay, well, I don't know that the Bernsteins will even be able to sleep one night without waking up thinking about their lost daughter in the amount of time that prick before he gets out.
Yeah.
That hurts.
Yeah. And it's hard for people to see that. And until we get people to be more activists and start voting our legislators out so that we can make a change, it's going to keep happening. So, we had just the North Dakota legislator or the North Dakota, I believe it was a legislature that had, why should we should be mandatory reporters after the Ray Holmberg case.
Yeah.
And they voted it down. What? Why would you not want to be a mandatory reporter? So if one of these guys were banging a kid and I knew about it, I would be required by law to tell somebody. Okay, there's a lot of stuff coming out about like the attorney general, like being aware of it or being, having conversations with him. Like, what the fuck? Like you are our highest law enforcement officer in the state.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
This piece of garbage flew tons of times to go traffic little kids. And people knew about it. Like, and they did nothing. They just did nothing. Or they ignored it. So then we had an opportunity to, hey, you've got to be a mandatory reporter. And they made excuses. Oh, we're going to have to go to training. Fuck you. Go to training. It's not that hard to figure out if somebody says, I like little kids or I like to go to a place that like traffics in kids regularly. I mean, Jesus. Yeah. When is enough enough?
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
So do you know what happened in that specific case with
I don't.
Okay.
I didn't have a chance to like really review it.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, I don't know that I can go down that road because I'm still like the Bailey Bernstein thing was a fiasco. Like our community, that was a disgusting display by a portion of our community.
I know
that were friends with the guy and the guy's girlfriend.
It's kind of the same situation for this.
That's
thing
what she explained to us on the podcast.
Yeah. Okay,
because they're getting attacked right now too,
and he's from a smaller town, I guess, and has a farm out there, and everybody's on his side.
And that's unfortunate that they're blaming the victim, and we do that in society though. Now we're doing it. What the like? And when you get like bad cops, they're trying to like justify their actions. And I'm just like, no. We all play by the same rules. We all. Well,
we're supposed to anyway.
Well, yeah.
Yep.
Like when people ask me like, how did you, when you did law enforcement, how did you make it through, with like when it came to like when you got in trouble and stuff? And I was like, well, it's very clear. Like when I went out there, like this is my town. I'm a member of the community. It's my job to not pass judgment. It's just to be a cop. It's just to bring you to jail. Mm-hmm. Not if you're white, not if you're black, not if you're gay or straight or fucking whatever. My job is to just do my job. Like you did it. Okay, cool. Let's roll. So, it was weird to see that because I didn't see it when I was a cop. I had one guy complain that like I was racist and beat him up because he was Somalian. Well, first of all, I didn't win that fight by any stretch. I did, but like it wasn't great. And like it put me through some shit like for a couple days. And then they watched the video and realized the guy was like a piece of shit. But it's the same thing. They're using their whatever they have. People are very tribal. So like farmers will stick with farmers.
Sure.
Certain gang members will stick with certain gang members. Military sticks with military. Police sticks with police. Firemen hang out with firemen. Like you go down the list. Like your doctors hang out with doctors. Whatever. And when somebody threatens somebody from that group, they attack you with great fury and vengeance. And that's what I kind of hear is going on down there. And it did happen in Wahpeton.
Well, at some point you got to look at yourself in a morality aspect.
People don't give one fuck about their morality.
See, and that's what pisses me off. Like, for instance, and this made me a little disappointed, but that guy that just got busted driving 120 miles an hour and he blew like a 0.2 something, I think, down in Wahpeton.
Carlton Moldenauer.
And they were laughing about it.
What?
Like on the Facebook post, they were laughing. Like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, he was driving a little blah, 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 blah. And then like, they were like, I'm like, guys, a little girl just died from a drunk driver down there, up there. Like how many times, just because he didn't kill somebody, I mean,
this time
120 miles an hour.
Yeah. And that wasn't his first rodeo by any stretch of the imagination.
And we're just like, oh, just another day. It's like, no, it's not another fucking day.
Yeah. No. And people don't like social media. It's so easy to be like a shitty person. And I've caught myself doing it. It's very easy to be a shitty person with social media, especially when you have like a little bit of a following. So I try to avoid that. But like when you, like if your drinking buddy like is in trouble, going out of your way to try to help him and be a shitty person on the internet, what the fuck? When did that happen? When did people start doing that? Like I've had friends that fucked up and I go, yeah, that's not good. Like get some help, figure it out. Yeah. Not, oh, they had no right to be out there. What? They're a little kid walking on the street.
See, that's
what the fuck? What are you doing?
Yeah.
You victim blaming pieces of shit.
That's what makes moral compasses are fucking broken. Man.
Yeah, they just want to stare at their phones.
But we just gotta bring back bullying, where we bully those people that are just wrong. Like those people are just so wrong. Like
people need to be made examples of.
I did.
Good. Yeah.
I would you say I did? I brought it back. Yeah, like hard, as quick and fast as I could.
People are so dumb sometimes. It's like, dude, like. You wouldn't say that in person to the victim, that's for sure, or the victim's family. Like,
but some of these people would. They're that fucked.
That's sad. And then that's the point where I'm like, now
we had the guy that killed Bailey's girlfriend's kid, like flipping off people, like the victims. Like, what are you doing? Like, you fucking are living with a guy that took their daughter's life.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. And you can't beat him up, and I'm not calling for violence, but like at what point do you start to think like maybe society needs a little bit more ass kicking and a little less fucking hand holding?
That's kind of what it is. Yeah. It's kind of what it is. There's people in this world where they've never got their ass kicked, and it shows because they'll do whatever they want and just keep on living life. Like, there's one thing that I have always learned. There's a reaction for every action. And if you're not ready for that reaction, you probably shouldn't do that action. Some people don't have that.
Yeah.
It's very weird. Very weird.
When you're like, they've never got your ass kicked. I still remember the ass kicking I got from some farm boys at a party in Appleton, Minnesota, when I was working in the prison there, and I was jacked. And they handed my ass to me. And I remember that ass kicking. And I remember thinking, like, man, I picked the wrong place to run my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
But I learned a lesson. And I sure don't, well, I don't drink anymore either, but I sure don't run my mouth with, like, boys that have been tossing hay bales on a truck since they were 2 years old.
Yeah.
You know, so you're not going to win that one because they just win out of sheer, like, Mongol violence. Like, they're just dumb and angry and strong, you know?
Yeah. I learned how to talk shit from my brother, and we were with his friends one time, and I'm 14 years old maybe, and we're playing video games, and I'm just blabbing at the mouth, and all of a sudden my brother turns around and just punches me square in my chest, just right in my sternum. Stop. I was like, I couldn't breathe or anything. Started crying. Everybody was like, dude, why'd you do that? He's a little kid. My brother's 8 years older than me, mind you. So he's like 20. so it was a good lesson though. Like, I would have been doing that to other people, and I don't do that. Like,
sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah, it just took a little domestic violence, and it all got figured out.
But it's my brother at the end of the day. So it was fine, but I mean,
he taught you how to be a man in that way too.
Exactly.
Like, he passed on a very good trait of like, you fuck around, find out. Like, that was a prime example of, you did A, B is happening, and now we're at C.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're the only person that's responsible for the next step.
Was
like,
me. Yeah.
Yep.
So, and that's how it worked out.
And it's sad that's such a tragedy in Wahpeton and in Grand Forks. And my heart goes out to their families and, you know, to the people that are, like, you got to realize you're victimizing these people again. Mm-hmm. Every time you say some stupid shit on Facebook, you're victimizing these people again. So maybe like, stop for a minute and look in the mirror, go hug your kids or whatever, hug your wife, and maybe try to be a little bit better person that day, instead of just being a piece of shit.
Yeah. Or just take accountability for what you've done.
Yeah. Could you imagine, dude? I would pull over and say, like, hang me. I did this.
We talked about this last time.
I don't deserve to, like, I took a child's life. Fuck you for thinking you can get on with yourself.
Yeah.
Like, unless you're, man, I don't know. I've known some people that have, like, committed some crimes and they've got their life back together, but never, like, anybody that's done anything to kids, I guess I'm not interested in giving them a second chance.
Yeah, but
that's just the way my brain works.
Even I'm with you.
With that being said, it's like, if you're not, like, devoting your life to try and help her family as best as you can, and, like, shut all these people down that are trying to side with you and what you did. Like, you come out, you say, I know what I did was completely wrong. I can hardly sleep at night. I can't live with myself. I did this and I feel terribly wrong. At this moment in time, there's nothing else I can do to make them better other than give them space. But if they can find it in their hearts to accept my apology, I would love to do whatever I can to be there for their family in this hard time. Like, I know they won't want it, but at least you're offering.
You're making an effort to, like, I mean, you're never going to right that wrong.
Yeah.
Like, ever.
Yeah, but you know, you're shutting everyone else up in the process.
Exactly.
All the people that are wrongfully defending you and standing the ground for whatever reason they're doing it, at least they get it from the horse's mouth. Like, no, I fucked up.
But people don't think like that. They think they're, like I said, they're tribal. They want their buddies to, like, not get jammed up. And it's like, your buddy's with a murderer.
Yeah.
Killed a kid. It doesn't matter how they did it. They did it with a car drunk, or they did it with a gun, or they did it in some weird fucking sexual assault thing. Like, you killed a kid.
Yeah.
You fucking killed a kid. You're not going to justify it to me to think that you should only get 2.5 years in jail or treatment, or, like, fuck you. How dare you even ask?
Yeah.
You know, like, and especially with me being an alcoholic, like, I have a place in my heart for people that like drink, and I'm not the same man when I drink, or if I drank, than when I'm sober.
Yeah.
And I know that, so that I don't drink. And by the grace of God, I never killed anybody, but I assure you, like, you don't get to the point where you're driving so drunk that you kill somebody overnight. That happens, and it happens slow, and it happens over a period of time where you get comfortable. That's not your first fucking time. Like, and then when like they go before the court and they're found guilty or they plead guilty for some bullshit plea deal, and they're like, I'm sorry, your fucking sorry means nothing. Mm-hmm. You're caught, you're convicted, your sorry means nothing. Now you're just talking to hear yourself talk, to try to make yourself feel like less of a piece of shit for killing a little kid. It's
the old thing where people always say, like, you're only sorry because you got caught.
Correct.
Otherwise, you'd still be doing it.
Fucking right.
Yep.
And I honestly, I don't think there's any redeeming qualities for these people. Like, that. How are you getting less time than drug dealers? Okay.
Yeah, that's insane.
You know, for the most part, like, you want to sell me drugs, I'm an adult. I buy drugs from you. And unless you're preying on me as like an addicted person, you're providing a service. I'm a libertarian, so like you're providing a service to me, right? But like, it's between adults, and you're getting more time than somebody that ran over a little kid. How is that? How can anybody as a citizen quantify that and go to sleep at night thinking, you know, you had a few beers, you ran over a kid, it can happen. What? How like, so listen to what just fucking came out of your mouth, and it's all over Facebook during that incident. And in Grand Forks, I've been told it's all over. Like, how are you justifying that? It was in Grand Forks, right? That's where, okay.
I mean, there's video footage of it. Yeah, like there's no denying that the dude didn't even attempt to slow down.
They never do. This guy that killed Bailey drove with her a bunch of like 6 blocks or some shit with her hanging on, and never slowed down, never even acknowledged she was there. And still to this day, I don't know that he's even acknowledged that. He sure as fuck didn't do it in court when we were there, because I was there. Like, I made a point of it, and I actually talked for the victim impact statement on how it affected our community. And like, John is a lifelong friend, and I've talked about that. How do I, as a former law enforcement officer and a drug recognition expert, and one of our top DUI writers and our top DUI writer for quite a while, I would still, with all that training, go into DUIs and be like, fuck, I hope this goes okay. Years of training, years of law enforcement experience, and then like, you don't know if you're going to win or not. And there's video of it. Like, we have a broken system at this point.
Big time.
And it needs to be addressed, but it's not ever going to happen, because a lot of people drink, and a lot of people in those situations put themselves in the shoes of, excuse me, oh, that could have been me.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, fucking do better.
Yeah.
Take a cab. We have Ubers.
There's no excuse.
Call me.
Bro. No,
like, it's a small town. Like, my phone number's on everything. Call me. I'll come get you, just so you don't drive.
Yeah. Be a drunk at home. That's completely fine with me.
Yeah, I don't care. Be a drunk in public. Enjoy yourself. Have fun. Just walk.
Just walk,
or take a cab.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, Wahpeton's not that big of a town.
It's not. I've walked all over.
I've walked from one end to the other.
Cody's slosh walking like, everywhere, dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm walking.
Yep.
I love it.
Yeah. It doesn't.
Nothing's better than that.
What does it hurt? If anything, you burn off some of the alcohol like that you took in.
Yep.
You get some fresh air. You
get some food on the way home.
Pumping. You like, it's a nice way to end your night.
Yeah.
Or trying to get your keys in ignition to go, like, and I'll be honest, like, I've had a DUI. Like, when I was in college, a week before I graduated from school, I got a minor consuming while driving under the influence. So I know, like, you can make a change after that. Like, these guys that have 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 8 DUIs, like, how are you even still out?
Yeah, that's so crazy.
Like just the impact of what happened to me. Like, I look at it as like the greatest learning experience of my life. Like, it fucking changed me. But in the same sense, I took responsibility. I didn't try to, like, I went in there and I'm like, you got me. You got the tater. You know, I never want to go through that again. Like, I'm going to lose going to college now, continuing ed. I'm going to lose a job that I was looking at getting. So that impacted me. But it impacted me a hell of a lot more than, like, home confinement where I can still where you can still bang your girlfriend every night, and fuck you. They can't hug their daughter when they go to bed. Why are you getting to hug your girlfriend? Yeah. Things like that. Like, I have a hard time rectifying that because it's never going to be right in my head. Like, I'm never going to be able to think that that's right. And us as a group talking about this, we're all on the same page. Different walks of life, different demographic, different backgrounds. But we're all on the same page about it. So why can't North Dakota get on the same page about it?
Right.
It's real easy. The four of us have different views on a lot of things.
Yeah.
But like, we can all come together that murdering a little kid with a car isn't a good thing.
Right.
It's a real easy thing to get behind, that everybody should, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, like, great. Yeah, we're all against drunk driving. Now it's up to the judges to say 20 years and slam a gavel down and go think about what you did.
Yep.
Think about, in those 20 years, the kid that the family that these kids could have had. I mean, this young girl could have been president someday. She could have been anything. A doctor, somebody that cures cancer, somebody that finally, goes into law enforcement, saves people's lives, joins the military. All those opportunities are wiped out because you said you're sorry.
Yeah.
Keep your sorry, bro.
Yep.
So, as you can tell, I feel very strongly about that. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off on
I think
a rant
most
about
normal fucking people do, though, man. Like, that's what sucks, to see people be so naive or purposely ignore the facts and the reality of the situation when it comes to DUIs, and
because it's your drinking buddy downtown, or you have farmland together.
Yeah.
But it's just odd because they do they not have any kids? Do they just lack empathy completely? Can they not understand?
But they do.
If
like,
it were
this
them?
guy particularly, Tim Bauer, whatever his name is, he definitely has kids.
Yeah.
And they're all in his defense too.
Yeah.
Talking
And it's
shit.
like, okay, when somebody hits your kid with a car, like, I don't even have kids, and I think about, like, even my adult siblings, my nephews and nieces, God forbid. Like, I don't know what I would do. I'd go insane. Like,
there is many, many times in my career where I was like chasing someone or responding to a call with lights and sirens and going fast. It took everything I had to navigate going 60 miles an hour. Okay. Like, and not run over a kid, and not, like, while the radio's going and things. Now add driving through town drunk at 120 miles an hour. What the fuck? Like, that's, like, at that point, do you even care about anyone that's in that community? Mm-hmm. No. So,
yeah, drunk or not, you made a conscious decision at that point.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep. And being drunk isn't a defense of the law. Like, there's case law for it. Like, you are still responsible for what you did when you were drunk.
For sure.
So, there's, like, in my drinking, and I talk about this, I'm very open about it. I would black out at times. But, like, at that point, I still wasn't, like, I didn't get in a car and go, like, 120 and, like, do the things that would endanger other people. I was only a danger to myself. Like, I just don't understand it. I have a hard time quantifying it. And, we had deaths, and we had accidents, and we've had, everything big towns have, small towns have, but nothing rocked us like losing Bailey. That girl was, like, loved by everybody, and she was just wiped out off the face of the earth because one guy's bad decision. We need to make a change, and
Sure.
And I don't know how that is, and I don't know what that is, but right now we're not getting any help from our governing people that we've elected. They can't even pass a resolution to make themselves mandatory reporters. Like, so it's okay for you to talk about fucking a little kid and then, like, just pretend it didn't happen.
Sure.
Neat. You're just as complicit because now there's one more kid that's going to get, or two more, or three more. How long did these people know, like, that this guy was a piece of garbage and they could have stopped it? And they're like, yeah, well, it happens all the time. Well, one less fucking person is a good start.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not getting any help from our elected leaders, and until people want to put their phones down and really look at, like, and hold their feet to the fire and really, like, try to make a difference, we're not going to have any change. Yeah. We're going to keep having this over and over again.
Yep.
killed little kids. I'm sorry, 2.5 years. When does it stop?
Yeah, it's so crooked, man. We live in such a fucked up society, and it's always going to boil down to local government. You know, like even I would even say police. I know so many police officers that are drunkards. You know what I mean? So all these laws that are in place that are protecting people who shouldn't be protected are in place because of this buddy system and, like you say, the good old boys, you know, and like everyone's looking out for each other. And that's not to say all cops are bad, but it's just shitty people have jobs all over the place. Shitty people are cops. Shitty people are lawyers. Shitty people are judges. Shitty people are politicians. Shitty people bag groceries. You know what I mean? Like, shitty people just exist, and they all got to have jobs for the most part. And so we find really shitty people in positions that they shouldn't be allowed to be in is the unfortunate side. And until we can figure out how to dead that kind of nonsense within politics, I don't know. I mean, it's known our senators and, you know, all the people in Congress, they're drunks. They all have, you know, mini bars in their offices. Like, it's the thing to do in politics is to drink. It's well known. So, like, yeah, these laws being, you know, same with pedophilia. I mean, we turn a blind eye to pedophilia here in North Dakota for the most part, and you start to see all these politicians getting busted for doing the same shit, and it starts to make sense why they have such, you know, light penalties against these people.
You guys are very fortunate. I know Sheriff Johnner, and I know your West Fargo chief very well. These guys don't allow that drinking and driving for cop shit. They will fucking hammer you, and they will hammer their guys if they let somebody go. So you guys are very, you know, and Wapton has a zero tolerance policy on that. Like, an officer's drunk driving, hook them. Like, Chief Anderson is very good about that. You know, because you look at it at like this, like, am I doing you a favor by letting you go, or am I helping you unfuck your life by arresting you? And I would never like let people go in that aspect.
It's encouragement, if anything.
Well, I had it happen to me, so it's like they're like, our life is over. No, it's not. It's over right now.
Yeah.
But like, if you pull your head out of your ass, it's very easy to crawl out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes some work, but like, it's not a huge deal.
Sure.
And you know, especially, you know, there's ways for them to get help and to try to find a better way. But that first step is like admitting you have a problem and like just taking responsibility for your shitty actions. So, you know, we're very, very lucky in these communities. I don't know what the situation with Fargo is. But like, you know, Sheriff Johnner and Chief Pete, like, they don't, that shit doesn't fly. So,
yeah, from what we hear with the people we've had on the show, I think we've got a pretty good department here in Fargo, West Fargo, for the most part.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not, like, I've got some friends on the Fargo PD that are great human beings. You know, Troy Nielsen has been a staple in this community for a long time. He's got a prior service record. He's in the military. Just a fucking great human being. And honest, down to earth, good dude. And but it's a big department. There's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So and it just keeps growing. So, you know, you're gonna get duds anywhere you go.
Yep.
For sure.
Like anything, man. Well, it was good to catch up with you again. Your podcast tour continues, from what I understand.
It does. We're gonna do some more. So
maybe this will grab you some more. Maybe we'll get another viral video out of this one. That'd be freaking awesome too.
It's basically, this time was just me swearing about like kid killers. Sorry.
No, but again, it's on topic with the stuff we do, man. So I love it. So I appreciate you coming back on again, Dustin.
Thank you for having me.
It was a good conversation. It's always interesting. I love your story about going down to TJ and experiencing all that. That was
the great tacos.
That's my culture, man. I loved it. I miss living in Southern California. I miss going to TJ.
Get back down there and like go have some tacos and see those people.
Yeah, I've avoided it intentionally though. I just hate California so bad right now, bro, and everything that's going on there politically. I don't even want to go visit, and I got tons of family out there. But I despise that place.
Maybe we should go and just go have tacos.
We'll just go
together. We'll fly out.
Hell yeah.
Spend a night, go into Tijuana, have tacos, and then come back.
I don't know if we'd make it back from TJ if we all went.
I would get you back. I would make sure that we called ahead.
Right, there you go.
Like, I've known you long enough to know that we need to have some sort of strainer to keep us.
Hell yeah, man.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, no problem, man. Good shit. Guys, anything last minute you want to throw out?
Good.
I think we're all good.
Right on. Well, we appreciate everybody for checking us out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share the channel, tell your friends about us. Don't tell your friends about us. Talk good, talk bad. It does not really matter as long as you're talking about us. Peace.